Hello everyone, Fred here. In this installment of TPP Dynamite, I'm going to be reviewing episode 9 of Titans season 4, Dude, Where's My Gar? First things first though, if you haven't already, let me encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I post film, book, and movie reviews. I do opinion pieces on entertainment, news, and affairs. I'm also an author of adult and young adult mystery novels. To date, I've released 3 books, The Women in White, The Lethal List, and most recently, Textbook Murder. They're all on sale now, and there are purchase links in my video description below. With that in mind, and without further ado, welcome to my spoiler-filled review of Titans Season 4, Episode 9, Dude, Where's My Gar? After being separated from the Titans, Gar uncovers long-lost secrets from his past as he confronts his mysterious connection to the Red. So this episode of Titans was my favorite in the series, as well as probably the best episode in the series so far. Like I've said before, Titans as a show has tended to improve incrementally season by season. It started as a dumpster fire in season 1, but ironically enough, it's finally starting to live up to its potential and crank out its best material just now, at the literal eve of its end. It's telling that this is a Gar-centered episode because Gar has consistently been one of Titans' best characters. He has baggage like all the other characters, but he always deals with it more realistically and with far more balance than most other Titans do, particularly Dick and Corey. I'm mainly thinking of them. Ryan Potter turns in probably his best performance of the series here, as he plays Gar's various emotions upon finally learning the nature, origin, and purpose of his powers. This episode also did a fantastic job with its fun little nods to the infinite potential of the DC multiverse, mainly in the form of cameos that referenced, I believe, 13 different legacy DC Comics shows and movies. The cameos themselves weren't that extensive or mind-blowing in terms of the looks that they gave us at other universes, but that's not necessarily a strike against this episode. I wouldn't really expect Titans to do deep dives into other show or movie universes at this point in the show's last 4 episodes, in Titans' last 4 episodes, because it would just take away from the story of Titans' own characters. Still, I think it's a good thing that the Titans writers didn't hype up the cameos from this episode in the way that, say, Mark Guggenheim did the various cameos that were included in the CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths event. Most of the Titans creatives kept relatively mum from the start about the fact that this episode even would include cameos, and I think that was a very smart move. As a result of it, I didn't go into this episode expecting mind-blowing cameo scenes, so I was pleasantly surprised by the little that I did get. Contrast that with Crisis on Infinite Earths, where the creatives did heavily hype up the cameos in the months before the event aired. And as a result, I came away from Crisis quite disappointed by the little that I got there because I felt like I'd been promised more. Nevertheless, this episode did have plenty of problems too, despite being as great as it was. First, this episode felt very, very late, like it belonged in seasons 1 or 2 or 3. Gar, his powers, and his history were criminally underutilized and underexplained in those seasons. And if an episode like this had been included in those seasons, it would have given fans the answers that they deserved and improved the overall storytelling quality of those first 3 seasons, given how bad they were. So whereas this episode would have been a masterpiece in those other seasons, basically a gem amongst the rubbish, its being in the middle of season 4's final arc causes it to be a good outing, but also sort of a frustrating one. Isolated, character-focused episodes rarely work well during final countdown arcs in TV shows, and it doesn't work well here either. There are only 3 episodes of Titans left. By now we should be getting into Sebastian and May's master plan and what it will mean for the world, not doing side stories about protecting animals and getting answers about Gar that we should have gotten like 2 years ago. At least. Seriously, Brother Blood hasn't even appeared in costume yet. Gar himself tells Freedom Beast many times this episode that saving animals and learning about his powers should be taking a back seat right now to saving the planet Earth from May and Sebastian. I feel like he's voicing the audience, and like Freedom Beast, with his insistence on doing this side journey mission of this episode anyway, is voicing the writers. It's kind of funny almost, the way that it comes off. Truthfully, Freedom Beast's attitude sort of contradicts this show's plot, since he was gung-ho just a few episodes in the mid-season finale just a few episodes ago to help Gar save his team and the world from Sebastian. So this episode, while it would have been a masterpiece in earlier seasons and a cool wink at the wider DC multiverse, feels now to some degree like just another obstacle between us and the finale of the Brother Blood conflict. It also feels like a sad salute to alternate movie and TV universes that we'll likely never see again because of the Warner Brothers Discovery shakeup with James Gunn. The nebulous pseudo-religious claptrap this week about the circle of life and consciousness felt very cliche and overly complicated and self-contradictory. It detracted from the episode, and I wish it had been omitted entirely, even though its inclusion did allow us the treat of seeing Jinx one more time and getting the tease that she might eventually return to life. And it's frustrating to be left with speculation about the cool stories we could have gotten with her if there had been a season 5 of this show. Again, it's just a shame that only now, at Titans' 11th hour, is the show beginning to become what it should have been from the start. This episode's references to Niles Calder and the Doom Patrol didn't really connect with me either. Titans has been established to exist in a different universe from Doom Patrol, that TV show. It borrowed one of that show's general plot devices this episode, in that it was revealed that Niles released the virus that killed Gar's parents and catalyzed Gar's transformation. But this episode didn't explain or pay off that twist as well as the Doom Patrol show did in season 1, with the whole story about how Niles created the Doom Patrol by getting them into accidents to make them immortal. Really, I think it might have been better if the reveal of Niles' responsibility had just been left out of this episode entirely, because I feel like it just opens the door to a whole world of emotions and other storylines for Gar that Titans will likely never be able to properly tie off before the show ends. I was not a fan of the whole Chosen One trope employed with Gar by Freedom Beast this week. That type of tale has been done to death by shows and books and movies way better than Titans, most iconically probably Lord of the Rings and the original Star Wars, the original Lord of the Rings Peter Jackson trilogy, and the original Star Wars trilogy, of course. Very rarely do we get a Chosen One story nowadays that moves the needle, and this episode definitely is not one of them, and that kind of takes away from that element of the episode. Freedom Beast lectures to Gar about his uniqueness and responsibilities as the chosen avatar of the Red are all familiar territory and retreads of stories that have been told way better in other forms of entertainment media. For instance, and this is just one example, Freedom Beast's lesson about how Gar must cut off his friends and outside connections to master his powers and protect the Red rings like a hollow retelling of a much better story that was done in Avatar: The Last Airbender's Season 2 finale. The arc where Guru Pathik coached Avatar Aang into sacrificing his ties to the girl he loved in order to master the Avatar state. It was funny to watch Gar and Freedom Beast drive to the lab where they plan to avenge the captured animals. Drive versus fly. Gar can change into birds, Freedom Beast controls a bat-lion hybrid that could also fly, and they could have gotten to the lab much faster and more stealthily if they'd just gone that way, flown there. So it felt like a hilariously stupid choice by the writers to have them drive instead. Also, how does Freedom Beast even have a car when he spent decades alone in a cave in the mountains? Gar's animal CGI is still garbage. No pun intended, hee hee hee. I like how the writers are finally letting him become animals besides that inane tiger, but I'd like it more if they did a better job with the rendering on screen. Titans as a show has done plenty of other complex effects well over the years. Why can't they ever seem to get this one right, the transformations of Gar into animals? Finally, how was Freedom Beast able to fuse the gorilla and the doctor together? That's another plot inconsistency. He's only able to fuse two animals into a hybrid, not an animal and a person. So yeah, this was a good episode, likely the best since the show's beginning, but it was prevented from being great by its poor placement in this season, the fact that it came so late in the show's history, and some other cinematic and storytelling issues. I give Titans Season 4, Episode 9, Dude, Where's My Gar? 3.5 Cronuts out of 5. At any rate, let me know what you all think about this episode. Sound off in the comments below. If you liked this video, don't forget to leave a like, click subscribe, and please ring that bell. So long.